So real early this morning, I saw something that I've never seen before, and it was actually pretty amazing. I was laying on the couch. It must have been about, I don't know, 5 a.m. And let me back up a minute. Yesterday, we had a whole bunch of wind. I mean, serious wind, and the power went out probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we had family over last night, and Melissa's gonna make a ham. We ended up just having pizza since the power was out. It was out all night long, and we didn't know when it was gonna come back on. So anyway, this morning, my normal routine would be to get up and like edit some video or something around 4:30, 5 a.m. Well, with no power, you know, I didn't have my computer or anything. So I got out of bed and I just went and kind of hung out on the couch for a little bit, waiting for it to get daylight. And I'm looking up, and we have these skylights, and that's a story for another day. I would never do skylights again. But anyway, in this case, they were helpful. I'm laying there on the couch, and I'm looking up, and I see something, and at first I don't know what I'm looking at. And it looked like a long string of Christmas lights way up in the sky, and they're just going right with the skylights. And I'm like, what am I looking at? At first I thought it was like a reflection or something, and I realized there's no lights on, obviously, in the house. We don't have electricity, and it's dark. So I get up and I go out on the deck, and there's this, it looks like a train of lights. Ooh, almost fell there. Like a train of lights going through the sky, and that's exactly what it was. I did a little Google searching there on my phone, and it was a Starlink satellite train is what they call it. And it was amazing to see. And I mean, I don't know how many of them there were, but just a perfectly straight line. And apparently what happens is when they launch these satellites into orbit, they all line up and they circle the Earth, I guess, several times. And each time they climb higher and higher till they get to the desired altitude, and then they break off and go where they're supposed to go. I guess that's what they do. And I thought, boy, that's pretty amazing. You know, it really is. And then I thought, we can launch rockets with satellites that'll go up into space and line up in a straight line and then go to where they're supposed to go and send internet signals to Earth, yet when the wind blows, our power goes out. So I just came down here to burn some boxes, and I figure we might as well top off the SideKick a little bit here with firewood. It's that time of year where it's starting to warm up in the afternoons, but at night it's still, you know, like this morning, I think it was 30 or something this morning. Not too bad, but it gets a little chilly. But we're about done burning wood for the year. Well, I mean, another month or so, on and off. So now we got to focus on getting enough wood for next year. All right, that'll keep us going for a while. So before we put the SideKick away, we're going to take a ride out in the woods and see if things dried up some. We had a ton of rain 2 days ago. I mean, a lot of rain. But it's amazing what 40, 50 mile an hour winds and some sunshine does. If it's relatively dry out here, we'll come out and gather up some firewood before dark. Not too bad so far. Also anxious to see if there's any trees down near the trail. There's a couple right by the house that went down. So far, just this little one right here. A few limbs here and there. Yeah. I think it's dry enough. You can come out here about any time you want. I just hate rutting up the trails and
making a big mess.
So anyway, back to the power outage that I was talking about. I learned something. It wasn't a big deal. You know, the power went out about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, came back on about 10:30 this morning. Not a big deal. Don't get me wrong, not the end of the world. Although with Hunter, it is kind of a big deal. If you don't know, our oldest son, Hunter, has autism, nonverbal, and it's very difficult to explain to him why the lights don't work, why his iPad doesn't work, he can't listen to his music. You can try to explain it all you want, doesn't really matter. He doesn't care, he wants the lights back on. But like I said, not the end of the world, but I learned that I am not as prepared as I thought I was. You know, we have always been sort of closet preppers, I guess you could say. We have food storage, I've got generators, just different things that we prepare for, but I need to step it up. I really do. Not just because of a minor power outage. It's just everything else that's been going on. And I think it's time I really need to step up my game. I always talk about peace of mind. I did that video the other day talking about why I think it's a good idea to burn firewood for heat. It gives you that peace of mind, you know, emergency preparedness, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, because I'm not. That's not the type of person that I am, but there's a lot of problems in the world right now. And, you know, if people think I'm just trying to scare people or something, please tell me how this all works out, because I've looked at it, I can't figure it out. The financial thing, the banking industry, I read a lot about that stuff. And you know, just in the last 2 weeks, the banks have borrowed more than they did in the 2008 crisis. But we're not hearing about it this time as much. And things are just screwed up. We've spent way too much money for way too long, and I don't see a good end in sight for this. And the other thing is, back to the power outage, you just can't depend or rely on these big companies and big businesses or the government to take care of you. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to step up the game when it comes to prepping. I really am. Number one, a whole house generator, specifically for over at the building. I'd like to have one over there. I have 2 generators now, but they're big, they're cumbersome, but they won't run the whole house. So I need to do the transfer switch, whole house generator. And I also want to get one of those little Hondas just for these like minor inconveniences that we had yesterday. Like I said, I have 2 generators now, but it's a pain in the neck. And the problem is, you don't know how long the power is going to be out. You know, our power company has this website and an app. You can check it. And all it said right up until the lights come back on was waiting for dispatch, and they're investigating. You know, that was for like 15 hours, it said the same thing. So you have no idea if, when the power goes out, if it's going to be out for, you know, 2 hours or 2 weeks. You just don't know. So I need to up my game. So those are the 2 things I'm going to start with. I've been making a list today, not just power, but everything. And, you know, run some test runs and things like that. Like I said, we're pretty good on food storage. I know that. Financially, we have been diversifying for years in all sorts of things. And who knows what's going to happen with all that. But I think diversification is the best thing you can do if this whole thing kind of grenades. I like precious metals now. I like raw land, things like that. I don't trust at all the stock market. It's all manipulated. It's all smoke and mirrors. There's definitely money to be made there, but the average guy probably isn't going to succeed real well playing that game in the long run. I mean, I don't know. We did okay in the market on and off for years, but it's all manipulated. You know, I crack up. I was reading a story the other day about the government was after the airlines, something to do with people having to pay extra to have their child sit next to them. And the government was going to clamp down on this and make sure it's in black and white and everybody knows, acting like they're doing a big thing. So they act like they're coming down hard on these companies, yet these are the same companies that they give billions and billions of bailouts to. So it's all nonsense. And I know I'm going off on a rant here, but it's all part of it. I try my best to stay away from topics like this, but it's just up in everyone's face anymore. It really is. And I'm going to do better at preparing myself and my family for whatever comes. I did a video the other day for, it was a sponsored video for Policy Genius. And this is not a sponsored video, but I was talking about how life insurance gets overlooked. We have insurance on everything. I have health insurance, all the vehicles, the buildings, the equipment. I have a commercial liability policy. If I go somewhere and dig for somebody else or delivering firewood and I run into their house or whatever, we're covered on all that. But being prepared for something much worse, I look at it as just an additional insurance. You're self-insuring, I should say. And when things get rough, I think you and those close to you are going to be the only ones that you can rely on. So I am definitely going to step up the game. Melissa is 100% on board. We talked about this today. You know, last night, the power was out for a few hours. I mean, overnight, not the end of the world. But there we are sitting there with, I got my DeWalt floodlights. I never even hooked up a generator until this morning. The freezers were all fine, you know, overnight, but then you start thinking, is this going to be a day, 2 days, 3 days? I have no idea. So then you get the generators out, you run the extension cords. We've got 2 freezers, 2 refrigerators full of food. So I made sure all that stuff was good. I just want to get much better prepared. I do. I look at it as kind of a hobby, kind of like cutting wood, although it serves a purpose. I like doing that kind of stuff. And I think my newest hobby is taking prepping very seriously. And we won't do videos on that stuff all the time or anything like that, but I'll give you updates. And I would like information from you guys that are very prepared. Like I said, number one, whole house generator. I like the idea. We don't have natural gas where we're at, so keep that in mind. So I would probably prefer diesel. Solar, I don't know. It would be great if we had days like this all the time. We just don't. I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. If it's something that we could do, I think if you could minimize what you're using, I think solar would work good. We have a couple of those big battery banks. As a matter of fact, I ran one of our refrigerators on one of those, so that's an option as well. But the first thing I'm going to get is a small Honda just for those short-term things, and we're going to use it at the cabin down in West Virginia. That'll be coming soon, and I think what we'll do, I'm not sure how I'm going to power that yet, but I think a few battery banks and that little generator will do everything that we need down there. I think it will. So that's kind of the plan for West Virginia. So it will be a off-grid property. Everybody talks about off-grid. It will be. We're not going to be hooked up to anything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to get that little Honda and try it out. They're nice and quiet. The way I see it, I could use that when we really need electricity, but we'll wire the whole cabin with just some LED lights. I need a small pump for water, and that's about it. We'll have a wood stove. Won't have air conditioning. It's always 10 degrees cooler down there than it is here. There may be a few hot days, but it's always a little bit cooler because it's a higher elevation. So yeah, we'll use that generator there. I'm just kind of talking out loud, and I would like to see from you guys a lot of comments on what your plans are and any recommendations. Like I said, food we're pretty well good on. I just would like to have something, especially for Hunter, when the lights go out, it's pretty much business as normal. If it was just Melissa and I, who cares? Just go to bed a little bit earlier, wake up the next day and see what's happening. But Hunter, it's a little bit different story. He likes routine. So anything that's out of the norm kind of presents a problem. So I wanted things to be as normal as possible. That's kind of what the plan is. So over the next weeks, months, years, who knows? Who knows where this is all going to go? I don't know. But yeah, I just don't like relying on anyone else, big companies and all that stuff, or the government. They don't care. They really don't. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. Just show me how this all works out. I would love to see it. It'd be great if someone could just explain it all to me. You know, we are almost 30
$32 trillion in debt. It's an incredible number. I may have mentioned this the other day. The proposed budget for next year, they're looking for like $6.9 trillion. And that works out to approximately $20,000 for every man, woman, and child. It works out to $50,000 per full-time worker in the U.S. And that is just the federal government. That's not state, that's not local, that's nothing. That's just what they want to spend. And it's not going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody does, to tell you the truth. You'll get a different opinion from everybody that you talk to, but I just don't see how we can keep doing what we're doing and expect everything to be okay. So I want to be better prepared for whatever that is. You know, hopefully everything works out and we can just keep going on as business as normal. But my whole plan over the last couple years was just to get everything in place for us here, for myself, my family. We've got the YouTube channel. We've got a couple little side businesses, and just to be able to work from here and have everything we need, because inflation is a really big thing. A lot of people say, oh, you've got so much equipment over the last couple of years. Yes, we have, no doubt about it. But I bet you the skid loader that I bought is probably $10,000 more today than it was when I ordered that skid loader. I bet you the excavator is $10,000 more today than it was when I got it just a couple years ago. And so if you buy that stuff, real physical things, I like that. I do. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy, knowing that I have it, it's paid for. You can always do work for other people. Maybe you get into something totally different down the road. You have something of real value. And matter of fact, speaking of real value, I got word the other day, I think the new Sawmill is going to be here in a couple weeks. Yeah, I think it'll be here in a couple weeks. I talked to Marty from Woodmizer the other day. They're putting the finishing touches on it, and Marty will be bringing it out, and I'm pretty excited about that. The old Sawmill, the LX 150, I'll tell you right now, it's going to Tom Haas from Concrete with the Hosses. That was going to be a little surprise, but yeah, we're going to trade for some concrete. Sawmill for concrete, little barter thing going on there. That'll work out perfect. We need concrete under the pavilion, and we need concrete down at the cabin site in West Virginia, which I'm going to be going down there this week, hopefully. But I've really been rambling on. There's been a lot on my mind, and I'm ready to start preparing, being more prepared for that peace of mind and as an insurance policy. Yeah, pretty excited about it. Please let me know in the comments if you can recommend a good whole house unit for a generator. And like I said, we don't have natural gas. I don't want to get a propane tank, so it'd probably have to be diesel fired. Solar, I should look into it more. I really should. And battery banks, but I'm just not there yet. And let me know what you guys are doing. What do you think is going to happen? I would love for someone to tell me everything's going to be fine, but to be able to show me why everything's going to be fine or how it's going to be fine. But I think that's about it. I appreciate y'all being here. You can look forward to some videos on our progress, but I'm going to get prepared. You know, they say the best time to plant a tree is what, 20 years ago? That's really the best time to prepare. The second best time is right now.